Why is that so dark? Okay, we'll start in a minute, guys. Just got questions or comments, put them down there. Okay. First of all, I don't know why the screen is so dark. Sorry. I'll have to work around that. Anywho, let's get this thing started. Daredevil. Been talking about this one for a while. Didn't really have the time to do it until now. But Daredevil's part of a new thing that Marvel is doing with their properties. They're kind of branching out from the cinematic universe. Well, it's a new branch of the cinematic universe wherein they're doing TV shows on Netflix. And this thing dropped, I want to say a couple months ago. And I was interested in it. I wasn't sure if I was going to check it out because I've never been big on the Daredevil character. I liked him. I didn't hate him or anything. It just didn't hold a lot of interest for me. And I figured I'd check it out eventually, maybe waiting for the box set to come out. But I kept hearing great things about it. Plus, I realized pretty quickly that it was going to be impossible to avoid spoilers unless I stayed off social media altogether. So I figured, all right, fine, I'll check it out. So I watched it, and I figured, okay, I have to talk about this. And a few weeks later, here we are. And wow. Yeah, originally I wasn't sure about the Netflix thing. I thought, well, why are they doing Netflix instead of just regular TV? Could we not find a network somewhere that wanted a piece of the Marvel pie? Could you not get a TV deal for Daredevil when you got one for Agent Carter, which isn't even that big a character in the comics? So I was skeptical going in, but I was wrong. Netflix is the perfect place for Daredevil and perfect place for all the street level Marvel characters, in my opinion. Why? Because there are no restrictions on Netflix. There's no handcuffs. Netflix opens up a whole new window of the cinematic universe, lets them like tell different types of stories, do different types of things. That's the stuff they could never get away with in the movies or on network TV for that matter, because Marvel wants all that stuff to be kind of tonally consistent. So you can't really venture outside the box with all those series and movies and stuff. But Netflix is a totally different beast. They don't have to do any of that. They don't have to conform to the movies or the TV shows. They can get as brutal and as dark and as violent as they want. So when shit gets real, you can hear bones breaking, see blood gushing out of open wounds and shit. It gets really intense. I was stunned at how dark and violent this got. And yeah, I guess that's the perfect segue into talking about the fights. And oh my God, the fights on this show. I know a lot has been said for the last couple of years about how great the fight sequences and stunts on Arrow are, just how great those are, and how Arrow has pretty much been the gold standard for that stuff on comic book shows. Man, I've talked myself about how great they are, and how Daredevil kind of raised the bar for all the for stunt work on comic book shows and stuff. You know what? There's a new sheriff in town. There is. I swear to you, the fight sequences and stunts on Daredevil are even better. And believe me, that is not a claim I make lightly, but it's true. They're that good. The hallway fight scene in episode 2, holy shit. That is one of the best fights I've ever seen on TV or in movies. I'm dead serious when I say this. It's like 3 minutes long, supposedly all done in one take. Well, there's 2 or 3 places where they could put a cut in there if they needed it, but supposedly, I think Joe Quesada said this, it was all done in one take. They did this like 8, 9, 12 times, whatever it was, all done in one take, continuously. And it is a goddamn masterpiece of fight choreography. And there were still a couple fights in season 1 that I actually liked even more than that one. Daredevil is setting the new standard for action in comic book shows. I swear to God, no one did it better this year. No one. The acting is great too. I love this cast. This is some of the best work I've seen from most of these actors. When I heard Charlie Cox was cast as Matt Murdock, I didn't see it. I remember well. He was in Stardust, and I love that movie. Haven't seen him in anything else though. So I was skeptical. I couldn't see him as Matt Murdock, but holy shit, that he changed my mind in a hurry. Perfectly cast. Perfect. He gets the character. It's kind of like a subtle Batman thing going on, where he's one way as Matt Murdock. He's a totally different animal as Daredevil. It's a really a great subtle performance. It's perfectly cast. This guy just disappears into the role. Deborah Ann Wall, loved her in True Blood. She's even better here. She's fantastic in the pilot. Foggy Nelson, a character I admit I never really cared about, but Eldon Henson is totally charming and really funny. Made me actually give a shit about the character for the first time. But if there's a standout here, it's got to be Vincent D'Onofrio. What he did with the Wilson Fisk character, fucking brilliant. As much as this season is about the origin of Daredevil, it's also about the origin of the Kingpin. So far, most of the MCU villains have been kind of two-dimensionally evil with not a ton of depth to them. That's why Loki is so special, because Loki has layers. There's a little bit more to him than just someone who wants to conquer everything. Wilson Fisk is just like that. But they take it even further with him. I mean, this is the deepest character study of a villain they've ever done in the MCU so far. Fisk is terrifying. He's just like he's almost the kind of character that will give you nightmares, but he's also sympathetic and vulnerable at the same time. It's fantastic stuff. I mean, really, if D'Onofrio doesn't get an Emmy nomination, if not win the damn Emmy for this role, then there's something wrong because he's amazing. Another thing about this show is how well it works as a crime thriller. You could seriously take the superhero stuff out of this show, and it would still work great as just a crime show in its own right. And I think that's one of the goals the producers had when they were writing it. I think they said this. They were focused on making it a great crime story first, and then add superheroes and stuff to it after. Mission accomplished. Everything works great. I can't think of a single thing about this show that is not great. Terrific acting, incredible stunts, great writing, it's beautifully shot. Best superhero show this season. Fucking hands down. Better than Arrow, better than Flash, better than S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. is still my personal favorite, just due to personal preferences stuff, but Daredevil, fucking awesome show. 2 thumbs way the fuck up. I cannot like rave enough about how great this show is. And for fuck's sake, we're really doing this where I can't read the comments. God damn it. Thought we'd fix this. All right, 1 second, hold on. I don't know what the deal is with this computer. Sometimes I can read the comments in the comment section, and sometimes I can't. So I will have to go back to this one. Okay. To go back to this and mute that. Okay. Duke Nukem 3DO, can you get a haircut, please? Really? You know, I like the way I look with long hair. I didn't think I would, but I've really gotten used to it now, and I kind of like the way it looks. That said, I am starting to wonder when would be the time to cut it, because it's a kind of a pain in the ass to deal with all the time. So I'm starting to think about when I should cut it. Don't know if I'll do it yet, but it's I'm kind of approaching that point. The Save Me one. I think Rosario Dawson's character is going to be the Coulson of the Defenders. She's going to be like in Jessica Jones as well, and it's also rumored she will be Luke Cage's love interest in his show. So I'm thinking Claire will probably die, and that's what will bring the team together. I don't think she's going to be Luke Cage's love interest. I did hear about her crossing over into the other shows. But no, I think Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are going to be, they're going to be a thing, because they will be crossing over into each other's shows. There were set photos of them together on the Jessica Jones set, so I'm pretty sure they're going to be a thing, like they are in the comics. I would not put it past them to kill off Claire. Rosario's character, maybe have that what brings the Defenders together. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but you got to kind of build that character up first, so her death would really mean something. So I would not be surprised if she shows up in like all the Netflix shows, like season 1 of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, then kill her off. So by then it would really hurt. I hope not, though, because I really liked her character. Let's see. The Save Me one. Well, spoiler alert here, but With Wesley dead, do you think we could see Alexander Smythe become Fisk's new right-hand man? Smythe, was he the guy? I'm trying to think which character he is. Was he the guy responsible for the Spider Slayers? I'm not sure. It's possible. It kind of feels more likely that Fisk would not get a new right hand man and just like become a more hands on character and try to do stuff himself. Because I felt like Wesley getting killed was one of the things that kind of pushed Fisk over the edge. Like having Wesley as a right hand man and also a friend, whether he wanted to admit it or not, was one of the things that kind of tethered Fisk to his humanity, and they kind of severed that, and that's what kind of pushes him like, off the deep end. What kind of pushes him to become the Kingpin? He could get a new, lieutenant, if so. Could it be Smythe? I guess. Of course, first he has to break out of prison. I kind of want to see Fisk do more stuff for himself, though. So I don't know if I'd want to see that. Michael Cicchetti, which I may be pronouncing wrong, I'm sorry. What was your favorite scene of the series? Favorite scene? Favorite scene? Goddamn. Most of the fight scenes were the ones that stuck out to me the most. The hallway fight scene in episode 2, fucking unbelievable. I watched that back a number of times. The Nobu fight in episode 9, which just kind of just takes place over the entire episode, that was unbelievable. I think favorite fight scene. I think I think I'm gonna have to go with the season finale when he was fighting the Kingpin, because that was built up all season. And so that fight felt really fucking epic. Plus, it was the first fight when he was actually in the Daredevil costume. So that was really fucking cool. And that fight really needed to deliver, and it felt epic. And so yeah, that one really stood out to me. Duke Nukem 3DO. Do you like Michael Clark Duncan's Kingpin in the Daredevil movie? Yeah. I actually thought about maybe I thought originally, but back when I heard about that movie before it was made, I thought who would they get as the Kingpin? Well, they need a guy who's big and like really muscular and bald and stuff. I thought, well, maybe Michael Clark Duncan. I mean, he's black, but otherwise, I could see him as a Kingpin. Yeah, I mean, it made sense to me. I didn't really think about the ethnicity change at all. So when they cast him, I was like, yeah, I can see that. That makes sense to me. That's fine. So I liked Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin. I think the part was underwritten, unfortunately. But otherwise, I liked it. I thought that was good casting. Not a lot came of it, but that wasn't his fault. That was down to the writing and the directing. That saved me one. One of the best things about the show is how intense scenes can get. Yes. Like that scene with the blind Japanese man who is sitting in the car while the camera does those turns. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. You knew something bad was going to happen to the guy, and they took like 3 minutes to get there, but he ends up with his head blown off. Yeah, great camera work and that scene. And this whole show, really. Oh, God, I'd have to rewatch that one, but That was awesome. How he's singing and he doesn't really know what's going on, and you're just kind of panning around him, really kind of panning around him slowly, and then just going around back around as he's singing, and you know something bad is going to happen, but you don't know what. And you're just in the car, and then you can see the fight breaking out outside the car, and it's like a POV, and you're seeing it. It's like you're in the car with the guy, and you can see the fight break outside the car. Great fucking stuff. Some really innovative cinematography when it came to staging those action sequences. I love that stuff. UCD 3AD. Don't cut your hair. It makes you look like a cool yet sophisticated sellsword from Game of Thrones. Yeah, maybe if I grew the facial hair out a little bit, I could have a Braun thing going on. Possibly. But like I said, it is getting kind of a pain in the ass to deal with, so I might cut it before too long. But I do like the way it looks though. Lucky STR8. Will we ever see what Betty looks like? Betty? I don't. To what are you referring? I'm not sure what you're asking. Who is Betty? UCD3AD. Why don't you make a side chat? Honestly, I don't know how to make one. Earlier live streams I did, there was a chat room on the side there, but it's not. I don't know what happened. I assume Google Plus got rid of it for some reason. Unless there's something else I have to do to put one in there. I would if I could, because that's easier than than reading these comments. I'm just not sure how that could be done. I don't know. I figured Google Plus just got rid of it for some reason. Let's see. The Save Me one. Karen could be annoying at times. When they were trying to buy her off, why didn't she just take the contract to Matt and Foggy? They're lawyers. They could have taken care of it for her. Plus, her being hell-bent on outing Fisk for killing his father, even though he did it to save his mother. Matt, Foggy, and Ben all agreed that it could be turned to make him look like a hero, and she just wouldn't let it go. Don't get me wrong, I like Karen, but there was a couple of things that frustrated me about her. Okay. All right, take this one at a time. They're trying to buy her off. Why didn't she just take the contract to Matt and Foggy? Well, that may be one of those things that they may explore later. There could be trust issues. Maybe she doesn't totally. Well, maybe she doesn't totally trust Matt and Foggy at that point. Maybe she just has trouble asking for help sometimes. Some people are like that. I'm like that. I don't like needing help from other people. You can call it a character flaw if you want to, but some people are just really hell-bent on doing things by themselves, doing things on their own. Even if it's not the smartest decision to make. It could be a case of that. Or it could be that she wanted to do everything herself so as to limit the casualties, and so nobody else would get hurt because of her. I mean, they said that in the pilot. She doesn't want anyone else to get hurt because of her. So it could be that she just wanted to do everything herself. So if her decisions led to somebody getting killed, it would only be her who suffered and not anyone else. I kind of read it that way. Plus her being hell-bent on outing Fisk for killing his father, even though he did it to save his mother. Granted, Fisk did kill his father for, sympathetic reasons. I mean, you could understand why he did what he did, but hell, at that point, they're desperate. They're looking for any reason they can think of to bring Fisk down, even if it's something like that. uh, kind of an ends justify the means situation, you know. Let's see. Don't get me wrong, I like Karen, but there was just a couple things that frustrated me about her. Um, I agree. You know, she is tenacious and she has trouble letting stuff like that go. But I like that about her because I like characters to have flaws. You know, I don't want I don't like it when characters are perfect. You know, because then they're not a real character. You know, they're not 3 dimensional. You gotta give your characters, excuse me, you gotta give them flaws and problems to overcome. Otherwise, stuff is just too easy. And you know, when it's too easy for them, it's not interesting. You know, that's one of the reasons why I didn't like Trip on Agents of Shield, is because he was too perfect. He was good at everything. You know, everything came easy to him, and yeah, he just so I wasn't upset when they killed him off because he didn't feel like a real character to me. He was just 2 dimensional, and I never had a reason to get behind him because he was good at everything. It's like, why should I root for you then? You know. So I like characters to have problems and flaws, and sometimes if they're their own worst enemy, that's a good thing too. Uh, might not make them likable, but it does make them interesting. And I think that's a good philosophy to have if you're a TV writer. A character doesn't you don't have to like a character as long as the character is interesting. Let's see. Lucky STR8. Betty is the girl Matt promised to protect in exchange for Melvin making him the red suit. Oh, Betsy. You mean Betsy? Yeah. Will we ever see her? I don't know. Um, I believe Betsy is a character from the comics. So is Melvin Potter. Actually, he's a. If you don't know, he's a character called the Gladiator, another street level hero. I don't believe he has any powers. He was just he was just a vigilante. Um, they made some changes to this, obviously. I think Betsy was like his. He's a parole. He's a reformed criminal. So Betsy was like his parole officer or something like that in the comics. I don't know. Um, this is all second, getting all this secondhand, but I think it was a situation like that. It was interesting what they did with Potter there. Um, he was almost like a man child. Uh, so I was kind of half expecting Betsy to be like his like pet cat or something silly like that. It wasn't until afterward that I found out, oh, Betsy's a person. Okay, I think it was I was listening to Kevin Smith's podcast about it. So I found out, oh, okay, so this is from something from the comics. All right, I get it. So will we see Betsy at some point? Possibly. If it's something from the comics, then I would suspect she might show up at some point. Um, they did drop some hints that we hadn't seen the last of Melvin Potter, because he said he wasn't finished with the suit, so the suit may continue to evolve in season 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him again, and that Betsy thing is still out there. So we could very well see her at some point. Yeah. Do, 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 do. Okay, no new questions yet. Okay. Let's see. All right. Well, no new questions yet, but I guess we can talk a little bit more about the fights because, goddamn, they are spectacular. I think it was in episode 9, the Nobu fight, where they're kind of cutting back to it again. They kind of start with these two just beating the living shit out of each other, and they flash back to stuff he did previously, and then they're cutting back to the fight periodically throughout the show. I think if this was the moment, or like the fight scene that really drove home the point that, oh my god, this is stuff they could never do in the movies or on network TV, because he's just, in a lot of ways, this is the most brutal fight of the season, where he's just getting lacerated all the shit. Like there was like the one part where he's got him on the ground, and then Nobu has the fucking that hook on the chain, and he just sticks the fucking thing into him, and he's dragging him across the floor. I'm like, oh, I almost had to turn away. It was so nasty, because he's leaving blood. He's leaving this blood trail across the floor. I'm like, oh my god, how is he not dead? Realistically, if he was losing that much blood, he would be dead. But that's one of the things that you can kind of forgive, because everything else you're watching is so fucking good. And it's at that point I was like, okay, Netflix, I get it now. You couldn't do this anywhere else, like unless it was on HBO or something. So yeah, I gained a new appreciation for Netflix in that fight scene, because that could not happen anywhere else. Okay, here we go. The Save Me one. I think Punisher will get his own spin-off after Daredevil season 2. I hope Ghost Rider and Blade will get Netflix series as well. Yeah, they're doing the Punisher next season. He's going to be showing up. I don't know if he's going to be a major character or only like recur in a couple episodes or something. But Punisher was trending worldwide when that announcement dropped, and it's John Bernthal, I think that's his name, who was Shane in the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead. I wouldn't have thought about him, but when I heard about that, it made sense to me. I think Shane is the Punisher. Yeah, I can see that. That's fucking great. That's cool as hell. Like I said, I'm not in a big hurry to see Bullseye show up because of what that might mean for Karen, because I know what happened to Karen in the comics. And I love Karen. I love Deborah Ann Wall on this show, so I want her to stick around. So I'm not in a big hurry for Bullseye to show up. But if we're not getting Bullseye, Punisher, that's pretty fucking cool. We don't know what his relationship with Daredevil is going to be. I would expect them to be kind of adversarial. They're not going to be on the same page, obviously, but yeah, I would suspect that the Punisher would be a big candidate for his own Netflix series. You use a guest stint here to introduce him and then spin him off into his own show. I was kind of surprised that Punisher didn't get his own Netflix show in Phase 3, like the Defenders did, honestly, because I mean, Netflix is the perfect place for Punisher. You couldn't do Punisher justice on a network show, and like I said, they want all the movies to be kind of tonally consistent. They wouldn't be able to go as dark as Punisher needs to be in the movies, but Netflix, perfect. I mean, if they got away with all this stuff on Daredevil, they could do Punisher justice on Netflix show. That's perfect. So yeah, I'm already half expecting them to announce, a Punisher series after Daredevil season 2. Blade, that would be a strong candidate as well. Ghost Rider, I don't think so. I don't know if they have the rights to Ghost Rider back. Because I know, I think another company might still own those. Although I don't think that company is in any hurry to make more Ghost Rider movies. The first one was a big hit, kind of despite itself. Then they made the sequel, which did not do well, and I haven't heard a peep about it since. So if they don't make any more Ghost Rider movies, Marvel could get the rights back, like they got Daredevil back. If and when that happens, I could see them trying another Ghost Rider movie, but I don't think. You'd need a much bigger budget to do it on TV or Netflix or whatever. Unless they made big changes to it, you'd need a motion picture budget to do Ghost Rider. See, UCD3AD. I don't like asking for help. I was going to tell you to ask someone how to enable a side chat, but I guess that sort of blows away that suggestion. No, I could try to find out. You know, I could ask someone. I've been trying to figure it out myself. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's done. I'm working on it. Let's see. Lucky STR8. With John Bernthal cast as the Punisher, do you think they'll give him a running gag like he had on The Walking Dead with him rubbing his head? I don't think that was a running gag. I think that was just something the actor did. Maybe. I don't know. You know, it could just be something the actor does that they incorporate into the show, like on Agents of Shield with Fitz's monkey. That kind of became a thing because that's kind of a hang up that Ian DeCastiger has, where he's kind of he just loves like monkeys and like monkey related stuff, and they kind of incorporated that into the character, where it's kind of like this weird thing that Fitz has, where he wants a monkey. Could they give Punisher something like that? Potentially. I don't think they go as comedic as the monkey stuff was, because you can't really do comedy with the Punisher. He's a little too dark for that. But do you think that they'll have him work for the Kingpin at first and then develop him into an anti-hero? I really doubt it. No, I don't. No, I really don't see why he would work for the Kingpin unless he was like going undercover to get close to the Kingpin to take him out. No, unless it was something like that, then no, I don't see Frank Castle working for the Kingpin. That goes completely against the character. Because Frank isn't really one of those. How do I say this? He's not really one of those characters that kind of works on both sides of the law. I mean, he works outside the law, but you know, in his mind, he's dispensing justice. You know, he doesn't work for criminals. He wants to kill criminals, all criminals. He just wants them all to die. He's not. No, he's not going to be working for. He's not going to be working for the Kingpin. See, UCD3AD. What if Game of Thrones is an Elseworld of Marvel and Arya Stark is Daredevil? Well, she is blind right now. Yeah, that would make a weird kind of sense, wouldn't it? Why not? Lucky STR8. Is there any plans that Charlie Cox will show up in Civil War alongside Tom Holland? You know, Charlie Cox has been asked about this in a lot of interviews that I've seen, and you know, he says every time that he would love to show up in Civil War. So he's up for it. He's excited to do it, but apparently no one's asked him about it yet. So he's assuming that he won't be showing up in Civil War, which is kind of a bummer because I would love to see Daredevil in a movie in Civil War. That'd be awesome. I'm assuming that Daredevil is still kind of under the radar at that point, so he's not. So he would not be included in that because it's kind of focused on the high-profile heroes, and he's still kind of an urban legend in Hell's Kitchen. But yeah, Spider-Man's going to be showing up, and it just came out today that they cast Tom Holland as Peter Parker. Don't really have an opinion about that. I've never seen Tom Holland in anything. I think the director is a guy named John Watts, I believe. I've never seen anything he's directed, so don't really have a lot to say about this. Tom Holland looks like I imagine Peter Parker would look. So seems like good casting to me. I don't know what kind of an actor he is, but people have been telling me that he's really good. So good. I Casting seems fine, at least from a look standpoint. He looks like Peter Parker. It's like, okay, I can see that. So let's go for it. I did really like Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker, though. Um, I thought he really got the character. He was really good in the role, way better than Tobey Maguire was. Uh, so it's kind of a shame to see him retiring from the role of Peter Parker, but I'm optimistic that Tom Holland's going to do well. Okay. The Save Me one. In the comics, Claire was a love interest of Cage's back in the day before Jessica Jones. Huh. Did not know that. Cage and Jones could have some kind of I'm gonna go my own way thing. Then Cage could have a fling with Claire on his show. Yeah, maybe if they don't get Cage and Jessica together right away, that's possible. I somebody pointed this out to me. Or I saw this somewhere. There's one. I think in the second episode, Claire says something like, "I'm going to call you Mike because my ex-boyfriend's name was Mike. He had secrets too," and they showed like an animated GIF of Mike from Agents of Shield doing Deathlock stuff. It's like, wow, wouldn't it be crazy if it turned out to be that Mike? Like her ex was that Mike? Wouldn't that be nuts? Because they always say it's all connected. I was just thinking, man, it would be so like Marvel to do something like that. So that would be pretty crazy. But Claire and Luke Cage, yeah, who knows? They could do something like that. If it gives us more Rosario Dawson, yeah, why not? Because they may want to drag prolong Luke and Jessica. You may not want to get them together right away. So in the meantime, yeah, why the hell not? UCD3AD, with Punisher, Daredevil, and a young Spider-Man, are there any street-level heroes you'd like to see in the movies or shows? Street-level heroes. Not so much. I was never really huge on the street level characters to begin with. Like I said, I wasn't even that huge a fan of Daredevil prior to this show. I didn't dislike him; he just wasn't one of my favorites. I don't consider Spider-Man a street level hero. He's up there, but there are characters that I want to see show up, not necessarily street level characters. Abigail Brand is a big one. I guess we're kind of. I mean, if Sword is even a thing yet, we haven't seen it, so I'm assuming it's not. So we wouldn't have a reason for Abigail Brand to be around, which is unfortunate. Crossbones would be really cool. I love if we could get Crossbones on Agents of Shield. He's one of those characters that was one of those big ones that I want to see show up. Taskmaster is another big one. Because you have this huge storyline spanning multiple seasons of Shield versus Hydra. You gotta have Taskmaster in there at some point. Come on. So yeah, Taskmaster is a big one. Ghost is a big one because he's a really fun character with a great look that you could do on a TV budget and make it look good. Because his powers are easy to replicate. So you just need like a cool suit, and you can do the rest pretty easily. So yeah, Ghost is another big one. See other street level heroes. Not really. I think they're covering all of the. I think they're covering all the major ones here. We're getting Punisher next season. Blade, I guess, would be another one. But Jessica Jones, I would have mentioned, but she's getting her own show. It's coming out in a few months, and Iron Fist, which will be dropping next year. So, yeah, I think most of them are covered. UCD3AD, what do you think of the biggest criticism against Tom Holland right now being the huge mole on his chin? Is that a criticism? Because they can cover that up with makeup. That's an easy thing to hide. That's the first criticism. That's the first time I've heard about that criticism. Seems kind of silly to me. Honestly, the biggest criticism that I've heard about Tom Holland, and if you've gone on Tumblr, if you've been on Tumblr at all today, you probably heard about this, is that he's white. A lot of people on Tumblr are pissed off that he's white. Just do a search for Tom Holland on Tumblr. You'll see tons and tons of posts about this. People are pissed off. Oh, Marvel cast a nerdy white kid to play Peter Parker. And this offends you somehow? Have you never read a fucking comic book before? You know Peter Parker is a nerdy white kid, right? And you know, a lot of they're pissed off because they wanted to cast, they wanted to go wanted more diversity, so they wanted Marvel to go outside the box and cast an ethnic actor for Peter Parker. Okay, look, I understand wanting more diversity. I want more diversity in movies and stuff like that, but that was never going to happen. They were never going to cast an actor that does not look like the Peter Parker from the comics. Why? Because Marvel has a lot riding on this. I have no idea all the flaming hoops they had to jump through probably to get Sony to agree to do this, to give them at least partial control over the rights to Spider-Man so they could add him to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's probably a lot wrapped up in this deal. So they're going to do everything in their power to ensure that this new Spider-Man is a huge success. And that starts with being faithful to the comics and not alienating fans of the character if they don't have to. So obviously, they're going to try to be as faithful to the comics and the character as they possibly can. And that involves casting an actor that looks like the character from the comics, because that's the version that the fans are familiar with. Marvel's got this down to a science by now. They know what they're doing. And they have cast against type for other characters when the situation called for it, like with Nick Fury. That made sense. Plus, that was already kind of established in the Ultimate Universe with Ultimate Nick Fury being black, and they'd actually patterned that character and kind of made him look like Samuel L. Jackson originally. I think Brian Hitch and Mark Miller said, yeah, we made Ultimate Nick Fury look like Sam Jackson. So casting Sam Jackson as Nick Fury in the movies made a lot of sense. But casting an ethnic actor to play Peter Parker, no, it doesn't. It's just that'd just be bad business to do that. It wouldn't make any sense to do. So people are pissed off about this. Well, it was never going to happen in the first place. Hell, I saw some posts that had people pissed off that they cast a male because they wanted Marvel to cast a girl so Peter Parker could be a woman in the comics. Like, have you ever read a fucking comic book in your life? Do you have any idea what kind of fan outrage would happen if they did that? Hell, I remember back in the day, people were so pissed off because in Batman and Robin, they made Batgirl Alfred's niece instead of Commissioner Gordon's daughter. People were pissed off about that. I was pissed off about that. This is what happens when you change things unnecessarily. When you make changes to the character that make no sense, changing them when they don't have to be changed. No. Be faithful to the comics, because then what people love about the comics is going to resonate with a larger audience. So obviously they're going to want to be faithful to the character. They want to cast an actor that looks like the character from the comics. It's just good business. And Marvel has a perfect track record with this kind of stuff. So we're going to second guess their casting choices now? I think they've earned a little goodwill in that department. I think if Marvel thinks that Tom Holland is the right actor for the part, who the hell are we to not believe them? They're batting 1,000 right now. So people are pissed off because oh no, they cast a Caucasian actor to play Peter Parker. Peter Parker is Caucasian, you fucking idiots. I understand wanting more diversity, but there's a difference between wanting diversity and just saying and just expecting ridiculous stuff like this just so you can say how politically correct you are, you know. And I don't understand why this is all coming up now. I mean, I mean, the, I mean, like Batman. Batman has had more cinematic iterations than Spider-Man has, and I don't remember any outcry like this when Ben Affleck was cast as the new Batman. I mean, sure, people were pissed off, but they were pissed off because they hate Affleck, not because he's white. So why has this suddenly become a thing now? It's weird. Let's see. The Save Me One. There are two types of Spider-Man fans. Oh, I'm getting off topic here, but those like me who liked Spider-Man the animated series in the '90s and the Maguire movies, at least the first two, and those who like the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon and the Garfield movies, at least the first one. I'm in that. Marvel has to walk a tightrope here and give both groups something that will make them happy. Not an easy job, but if any studio can do it, it's Marvel. I'm a weird case in that I remember all that stuff. I remember Spider-Man the animated series, watched it when I was a kid. I saw the Maguire movies, did not care for them. I've talked about that before, but yeah, my opinion, those movies kind of sucked. The Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon was awesome, and the Garfield movies, I thought the first one was great. The sequel had a lot of problems, but I'm like 90% sure that most of those problems were due to studio interference. And I'm saying, okay, you have to do this and this and this and this because we want to set up this big Sinister Six spin-off movie that is never going to happen. I think studio interference ruined that movie, honestly. I think if the studio had just stayed out of it, Amazing Spider-Man 2 would have been a much better movie. But yeah, Marvel, they're walking a fine line here because they have to do what they think is right for the character. They also have to make Sony happy. Of course, now if I'm Sony, I'm just going to stand back and say, Marvel, you know what? You do what you want. You know what's best for your characters. Obviously, you've proven that. Every movie you've made has been a huge hit. So we're just going to stand back, let you call all the shots, and we'll just reap all the benefits. So if I'm Sony, I just let Marvel handle this, let them make all the decisions. Of course, Sony's not going to do that, but that would be the smart thing to do. Stripping 19. I'm a little sad that they killed off Wesley, but I guess if it was between Karen and him, he had to go. Yeah, Wesley was a really cool character. I was sad to see him go. I did really like the way they did it though, because he's totally underestimating Karen, and she's had to be saved a couple times at that point. So you think, oh man, Karen's fucked. How's she gonna get out of this? Someone's got to save her, and then she saves herself, and she gets the jump on Wesley. She just grabs his gun and just fucking murders him. That was awesome. I love that. Because it's at that point you see, holy shit, what's going on with Karen? She's got some dark stuff in her that we haven't seen yet. She's like, do you really think this is the first time I've held a gun? It's like, oh, what's this about? Karen just got super interesting. That was great. I love that she saved herself and just straight up murdered Wesley like that. Excuse me. That was awesome. Lucky STR8. Can Marvel get Frank Miller a cameo on the show and have him get shot by the Punisher as an Easter egg? I'd be fine with that as long as Frank Miller does not write or direct anything. Because, yeah, we saw what happened with the Spirit movie. What happens when Frank Miller writes or directs stuff these days? Plus, I've seen enough of Linkara's videos to know that Frank probably shouldn't be writing anything at this point. But if they wanted to get Frank Miller a cameo on the show just so he can get killed, I'd be fine with that. UCD3AD. I like Spider-Man the Animated Series because of nostalgia, but I think Spectacular Spider-Man was a better written show and Andrew was a much better Spider-Man. Totally agree on everything. I liked the Spider-Man the Animated Series when I was a kid. At least the early episodes, but wow, that show, as that show went on, the quality took a big downturn. The animation quality dropped very quickly. I never liked the voice acting, honestly. They would constantly use the same musical cue over and over and over and over and over again. They would reuse shots. Like certain shots would just be used over and over again to save money. The dialogue was cheesy a lot of the time. I did like that they tried to do serialized storytelling, but wow, that they needed more money for one thing to do like better quality animation and stuff. Because I kind of got the impression after a while that the show was being made on the cheap, and it didn't come off well. Spectacular Spider-Man, loved that show. It was great. I was so pissed off when they canceled it, because that was like the perfect Spider-Man cartoon to me. That was the Spider-Man cartoon that I wanted. And then they canceled it so they could replace it with the new Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, which is terrible. That show is just annoying. They gave the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon every opportunity to win me over. I watched it until I just couldn't watch anymore because it's so annoying. I don't like the new voice actor. I hate the writing with the constantly breaking the fourth wall and just trying to bombard the audience with jokes every 10 seconds. It's so stupid. Oh yeah, and Andrew Garfield was a totally better Spider-Man. Of course, he was, well, getting off topic again. Striffen 19. When Leland admitted that he had tried to kill Vanessa, my wife turned to me and at the almost exact same time we both said, well, he's dead. Yeah. That was awesome. Because if Kingpin is going to kill a man he's going to take a man's head off with a car door just for embarrassing him in front of Vanessa, what the hell was he going to do to Leland Owlsley for trying to kill her? Kudos to Owlsley. He was ready for it. He had the stun gun there. So he was kind of ready for Kingpin, but he underestimated just how brutish that guy is. I mean, oh my God. It's really interesting what they did with the Kingpin there, because he's got kind of this like childlike rage. Where he's like a little kid if you take away their toys and they just start screaming and throwing and breaking stuff, and that's what he seems like. It's like a balance between like the cold-blooded killer and like the emotional, like the over-emotional child. And he can't quite reconcile those two parts of himself, so they just kind of collide, and he just turns into this like raging man-child and stuff. It's really fascinating what they did with the Kingpin there. The Save Me one. I would like to see Firestar, but who knows who owns those rights? She came from a Spider-Man cartoon, so Sony. But she's also been a New Warrior and Avenger for most of her existence, so Marvel Studios, but she's a mutant and an X-Man, so Fox? That is a good question. I have no idea. She might be one of those characters that you could kind of make an exception for, like they did with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, where they're mutants, but there's enough, and but they're not really associated with the X-Men, so they might be able to use the character, just not referencing where she got her powers or giving her some kind of different origin. Because she's more associated with the New Warriors and the Avengers, and she only started appearing in the X-Men comics very recently, and she's never really had that many connections to the X-Men at all. So that might be one of those rare occasions where you could kind of maybe they could make a deal to use the character if they wanted to, but she's never really been that big of a character outside of the New Warriors books. So who knows? I wonder if they'd really bother, unless they wanted to do a New Warriors movie, which would be awesome. Because I love the original run of the New Warriors in the 90s. That was one of my favorite books. So if they wanted to do a New Warriors movie, try to get Firestar. That'd be awesome. But unless they wanted to do something like that, I would assume we probably wouldn't see Firestar. Okay. Lucky STR8. Haha, Tumblr are the same people that had the Batgirl cover with the Joker changed. I actually wanted that variant. Not really sure which cover that was. UCD3AD. You have a Tumblr account. How often are you triggered there? I do have a Tumblr account, but I don't say what it is on here because I don't use it for wrestling stuff. Mostly I use it for like other interests. Talk about just my other stuff. It interests me, like comics and movies and stuff like that. I don't use my name. I use a different name on there because I like to keep that separate. But I'm on there just about every day. Strippin 19. I think Madame Gao might be from the same place as Iron Fist. Not even going to attempt to spell it, based on the fact that she could disappear like magic, and that when she hit Matt, he went flying. That's what I thought too. Yeah, I think they dropped that hint, and I think in her last episode where she said she was going home or something. I think it was Kingpin who said, "Well, you're going to like, what, Hong Kong?" And she says, "No, it's a lot further than that." And I think she was behind that drug. I forget what it was, but it had that symbol on it that I think is the same symbol as one of the Iron Fist villains has tattooed on his chest, I think. I could be totally wrong about any of this, but I assumed that when she said she was going home that she meant Kunlun, if that's how you pronounce it. Plus, they had that earlier episode was Stick, where they kind of hinted that Stick was trying to prepare Matt for when the door opens. I assume that meant the door to Kunlun. So I think they were setting up stuff for Iron Fist with those two episodes. So there could be some crossover there, which I would love to see. I mean, if they're doing crossovers with Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, why not do crossovers with Daredevil and Iron Fist? That would make sense. And I'm kind of half expecting them to do that at some point. I hope they do. Strippin 19. I think I might be alone on a very small island, but I liked the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. Sure, it had some problems, but what movie doesn't? Really like Michael Clark Duncan's Kingpin, and I enjoyed Colin Farrell's Bullseye. You know, I don't hate that movie either. I agree it's far from perfect, and it's not a great movie, but I thought it wasn't exactly hateable. It had some good qualities. Plus, I mean, I agree. It was. I heard that the director's cut is a lot better. I never saw the director's cut, but I think Ben Affleck got a lot of crap for that movie he didn't deserve. Honestly, I thought Affleck was one of the few good things about that movie. Because, I mean, he's gone on record saying how much he was disappointed with how the movie turned out. But, you know, he's a fan of the character. I thought he got the character. I thought he played it well. Could it have turned out better? Yeah, but I think that was down to the writing and directing. I thought uh, Affleck was really invested in it, and he was really interested in making that movie. I think he wanted the same things out of that movie that we did. He wanted it darker and more serious, and you could tell in his performance he was really trying to make it good. They just didn't have a great movie to work with. I thought it did have some good qualities, though. I really enjoyed how they did the radar sense, how he uses echolocation. I'm like, wow, that makes sense. Yeah, they really put some thought into this, and I've loved how all that worked. Um, so yeah, honestly I don't hate the movie. It's not great, but it does have some good qualities that I think it gets. I think people kind of bash that movie unnecessarily sometimes. It's not great. I admit that. It's got a lot of problems, but it's not completely without some merit, I think. Um, Although totally, yeah, the movie's all over the map. UCD3AD. I will never forgive Marvel for canceling Spectacular Spider-Man and Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Oh God. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that. Those were great shows. And Ultimate Spider-Man, terrible. Um, there's an Avengers Assembled cartoon. Oh God, I watched like 2 episodes. It sucks. Why would they cancel Spectacular and EMF? Those were. Why not just keep those? What was wrong with them? Nothing. They were great. Why would you cancel them and then replace them with these horribly inferior? It's just fuck. It's frustrating. I don't know why they would do that. You have these really great shows, and then you just cancel them because what for no reason, and replace them with these shows that suck. It's dumb. Luckiest Marvel, they're doing great with movies and TV right now, but goddamn, their animation department needs to get their head out of their ass. Lucky STR8. Since Disney is a PC company, will they cancel the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon when Drake Bell called Caitlyn Jenner Bruce? Honestly, the show sucks. I don't think so. Uh, I think Drake Bell might get a call from the producers about how to conduct himself on social media a little bit better. I don't see why they cancel the show if it's making them money. But yeah, that cartoon sucks. The Save Me one. Karen is way better in this show than in the comics or the Affleck movie. It's the first time she actually has had a chance to show some character. Well, in the Affleck movie, she was just a cameo, basically. Ellen Pompeo in an early role, surprisingly, but she was barely in that movie. Yeah, in the comics, she got victimized a lot. I never really read the Daredevil comics, but I know enough about Karen Page to know they really put her through the fucking ringer. And I really want this Karen to stay around because I really love this version. Plus, Deborah Ann Wall is just wow. She's been my #1 TV crush since True Blood, and she's still way up there because oh my God, she is gorgeous. I wish she was still a redhead though. Let's see. The Save Me one. I don't know how old the actress that plays Vanessa is, but that lady is hot, and she did a fantastic job. Hope we see more of her in season 2. Yeah, it was really interesting what they did with her. I like that she kind of like fell for Wilson Fisk despite herself, and she knows he's a criminal, but either she doesn't care or it's kind of exciting to her or something. And I loved how she was like the one who who could really get through to Wilson Fisk and kind of get under his skin and get him to show a little humanity and stuff. It was a really interesting thing they did to kind of humanize Kingpin a little bit. I was actually really rooting for their relationship, and I kind of wonder if we might see her go a little dark next season with Fisk locked up in prison now. So she may be joining him in the criminal fraternity now. So yeah, I hope we see more of her next season because she was really good. UCD3AD, do you not want to share your Tumblr account because it's NSFW? I just prefer to keep my Tumblr account to myself. Just for personal reasons, because I don't use it for like, I kind of want my YouTube stuff and the Tumblr stuff to be separate. That's just how I prefer to keep things. Okay. UCD3AD, Spectacular Spider-Man was canceled because it was created by Sony. Avengers EMF was canceled because they wanted the cartoon to be more like the MCU. Cartoon to be more like the MCU. I don't see how this new how Avengers Assembled is any more like the MCU than EMF was. I really don't. Wow, we kind of got off topic here. So some more Daredevil questions. Let's see. The Save Me One, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Punisher, Blade, Ghost Rider, and a Defenders TV movie once in a while is as far as I want to see Marvel go with Netflix. I like that Marvel is doing a dark, gritty side to the MCU, but don't overkill it. Every other hero should be saved for the big screen, at least for now, anyway. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Again, I think Ghost Rider would probably need to happen in a movie. I don't see how they could do that on a TV budget. But otherwise, I think they've got all the street-level characters covered. Most of their characters would probably make more sense in a movie. So I don't. I think that would be a good strategy for them. Plus, I don't know how big Marvel's TV division is yet. So I don't know if they can handle any more shows than that. I mean, they're just getting their feet wet right now with this Netflix stuff, and Daredevil turned out awesome. But let's try to focus on getting Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist and the Defenders. Let's focus on making those great. If all those turn out as well as Daredevil did, then we can expand and then focus on expanding to Punisher and Blade and stuff like that. Like, other than those characters, I think they're pretty well covered. Hold on, what happened here? Okay. Wow. Not a lot of questions for Daredevil, surprisingly. UCD3AD. Would you like to see Daredevil walk into the Marvel headquarters and beat up the Marvel executives that canceled Spectacular Spider-Man and Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes? That would be really cool, actually. That'd be nice to fantasize about. Daredevil can. It was really fun to watch Daredevil just beat the shit out of guys. I remember in the first episode, at the very first action scene where he's beating up those human trafficking guys, and he saves all those women in the bunker, and he just grabs that dude and just starts pummeling him over and over again. It's like, oh my god. This is not like the other Marvel characters we've seen so far. This guy, this is fucking brutal. This is getting dark and violent and gritty, and I fucking love it. And this is going to be so much fun watching Daredevil just beat the shit out of guys. And he does it so well, too. Okay. Lucky STR8. Why don't WWE bring back Batista in the Drax makeup and have other Marvel celebrities for WrestleMania since they like the attention so much? Well, it's not that easy. You got to get the Marvel celebrities to agree to do it first, and they may not want to do that. Batista may not want to come back at this point because he's having a lot of success with movies now. Guardians was a huge movie. I think he's got a part in the new James Bond movie. He's having success as an actor. So Batista may not want to come back. Plus, this also kind of relies on WWE being in touch with pop culture enough to know that the Marvel movies are really big and really popular and like really big things in the mainstream right now. And I seriously question whether WWE are even aware of something like that. They might still think that Marvel stuff is for geeks. Because WWE is kind of ridiculously out of touch with stuff like that. So, assuming they would even think that was they would even think that something like that would be cool. That's a big question mark. Okay. Well, we might want to consider wrapping this up early unless we get some more questions. I had a lot of people asking me about when I do the Daredevil stream, and not a whole lot of questions here, which is surprising. So that's fine now. Is there anything else you guys want to cover with Daredevil? Not so much. All right, well. I'll give it another minute or two. But there's not a lot of stuff happening right now. It's kind of hard to talk about Daredevil, actually, because, like I said, I was never really big on the character prior to this show. Never really into the comics that much. I read a couple of stories, but nothing major. So I don't really know. There aren't any real stories that I'm eager to see them adapt from the comics so much. I'm more interested in certain characters showing up, like Typhoid Mary. I like a lot. I think Typhoid Mary would be an awesome character to use if they'd have to like depower her or something, but have like a villainess who's like a split personality or something. I think would be really interesting to do on Daredevil. Plus, if she's like a quasi love interest, I think that'd be really fucking cool. Of course, we also had the tease of Elektra coming up. In one episode where Foggy tells Matt that what happened with like the Greek girl and like your Spanish class. It didn't work out. Okay, well, there's a tease for Elektra, so she could somewhat show up at some point. I'm not totally eager to see her show up just yet because I don't want her to take the spotlight off of Karen, who I'm really digging. But they set up a lot of stuff for the future with Daredevil, so I'm I'm really excited for where they could go in season 2. It doesn't have to be focused on the Kingpin all the time. There's a lot of stuff they could do. I mean, they could use the hand. I mean, they definitely teased that because it's pretty clear that Nobu was part of the hand. So they teased that. They teased some Kunlun stuff. They teased Elektra. No tease for Typhoid Mary, unfortunately, but I really want to see them use her at some point. Okay. The Save Me One. Perhaps the biggest thread left hanging after episode 13 is Karen's murder of Wesley. So far, no one actually knows that she's the one who did it, and Ben Urich paid the price for her crime. More on him below. One of the final scenes of the finale was between Karen and Matt indicated that there was something in her voice that he found concerning and that hadn't gone away when Fisk went to jail. Karen brushed it off, but we're not sure Matt believed her. It seems like it's only a matter of time until Matt and Foggy and perhaps Fisk and the police find out what she's done. Yeah, that could be a big plot thread. Considering how close Fisk and Wesley were, I would be stunned if that doesn't come back. They definitely dropped some hints that Karen has kind of a dark past, like a dark history, and I have a feeling that this is something that's going to come back and haunt her. And who knows? That could be a big thing next season. In fact, I'm kind of expecting it to be. I really hope they don't kill Karen, though. Let's see. Lucky STO8. In the show, did they ever play into the Man Without Fear thing? No. No, not really. That could come in later. I think that was something Frank Miller came up with. I know they took a lot of inspiration from that story. I think like the black outfit he wore for most of the season was from the Frank Miller story. I think it was a graphic novel, The Man Without Fear, where they kind of retold his origin. He was wearing the black costume at first. So that's where that came from. They never called him a Man Without Fear in season 1, though. I would like to see that at some point, though. I saw a quote from Charlie Cox from I don't know where this was from, but he said, Daredevil's called the Man Without Fear, which isn't very interesting to me because it takes away like one of the best character traits, which is fear. And if a guy is just not afraid of anything, that's not really interesting. So he said like the way he looks at it is like he has a lot of fear, but he chooses to go out and do stuff and like be a superhero anyway, despite that. So the character is someone who appears to have no fear, but in fact has a lot of fear. He just chooses not to let it control him. And I think that's where that comes from. And I would like to see like the Man Without Fear moniker be used at some point. I don't know if it will, though. That'd be so cool, though. Louis V6. Do you think Karen and Foggy make a good couple? I kind of prefer them as friends, actually. I actually really liked Foggy with that bitchy ex-girlfriend of his. The one who called him Foggy Bear. I like those two together. Karen and Foggy, I like them as friends when they were hanging out together. I did not get the sense that Karen was into Foggy. He clearly liked her. I mean, Christ, what man wouldn't? But yeah, I did not get the sense that it was mutual. Karen's obviously kind of has a thing for Matt, so I know they're following the comics with that. But yeah, I really liked Foggy with what's her name, the bitchy girl. I kind of like that little dynamic there. But Karen and Foggy, I prefer those two as friends. honestly. The Save Me One news is that Marvel is casting Elektra for season 2. Are they? I didn't know that was confirmed yet. Oh, I knew Punisher. That was about it. I didn't know they were doing Elektra so soon. Okay. All right. That's fine. I guess we'll get the Hand next season, which they did set up in episode 9. That's cool. Just don't take too much focus away from Karen. All right. Oh, you know what? Elektra is another character who could be spun off into her own series for Netflix. That's another one. I didn't mention her. All right. Striffen 19. Don't know if you heard it or not, but Marvel announced the new Spider-Man. Yep, yeah, Tom Holland. We talked about that earlier. So you can just like rewind the video once this uploads. Okay. All right, well, that appears to be about it for questions. So we can probably think about wrapping this thing up. It's been about an hour and a half, so that's probably at a good stopping point. Just to put a period at the end of this, Daredevil is fucking awesome, you guys. I can't think of anything about this show that is not awesome. And I think if this is the benchmark, if this is the level of quality that we can expect from the other Marvel Netflix shows, then I'm down. Dude, sign me up for all of them. Even though I've never really been really interested in in Luke Cage or Iron Fist. I love Jessica Jones, not so much those other two, but if all the shows are as good as Daredevil is, dude, I'll watch all of them. This is Marvel's really up in their game with their TV division. I think they've learned a lot of lessons, and they're firing on all cylinders with Daredevil. And Jessica Jones, hey, if it's as good as Daredevil, I want to see it right now. This is awesome. So, oh wait, no, hold on. Okay, Save Me One. Yeah, we need to see more of Foggy's ex with a show with so much drama. We need a character like her. Yeah, she was good. I liked them together because they were funny. And and a show like this, you kind of need a funny couple. Because we know any relationship Matt is in, there's going to be a lot of drama attached to that. So you need a couple that's just about laughs and it's kind of like dysfunctional in a funny way. One that you can just have, one that's kind of lighthearted that you can just have fun with. And that's why I like those two together because they were super dysfunctional, but it was in a funny way. So those two were fun. I hope they do more with those two. Foggy and whatever her name is. I couldn't for the life of me remember her name, but I really like those two together. And I think that'll do it, unless we get more in like the next minute or two. Louis V6. Do you like the dynamic between Vanessa and Fisk? Seems to me like the chemistry couldn't be any better. Yeah, absolutely. I talked about this earlier, but that was really fascinating how Vanessa kind of humanized Fisk in a way, and he was actually like nervous and vulnerable around her. It's a really it's a really fascinating window into Fisk's character that he could actually let his guard down with her and be vulnerable with her when he's so terrifying and dangerous with everyone else. But something about her kind of brings out that humanity in him, and he was kind of holding on to that for dear life, and it made me see Kingpin in a light that I've never really seen that character in before. It made him oddly sympathetic, and I don't think I would have said that about a character who took a guy's head off with a car door. But it's a really fascinating portrayal of Kingpin that they've stumbled across here. I think it's the best villain that they've had in Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. It used to be Loki, but I think Kingpin is the best villain now. Of course, they've had a lot more time to develop him than they had with the other villains. But yeah, I can't say enough good stuff about what Vincent D'Onofrio did with that character. He should totally be nominated for an Emmy. And hell, if I had it my way, he'd win the damn Emmy because he was that good. And Vanessa was great too. I really love what they did with her. Let's see. Okay. I think that'll do it. Comment section is kind of slowing down here, so I think we can wrap it up at this point. Yeah, love Daredevil. Can't wait for season 2. Can't wait for Jessica Jones. I will surely do a Jessica Jones live stream when that comes out. And after that, we'll see. We got Luke Cage. We got Iron Fist. We got the Defenders miniseries after that. And I really love this new branch of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they can do stuff with Netflix that they couldn't do in the movies or on network TV, and they're covering all their bases now. We just got to get their animation department to stop sucking, basically. It's kind of weird that Marvel can be so great in all these other areas, but their animation department just sucks. I don't know what the problem is. But anyway, yeah, can't say enough about Daredevil. It's awesome. Best superhero show this season by a mile. And thanks for tuning in. I probably should have gotten to this one sooner. I'm sorry. This is about as early as I can make it happen. Not sure when the next stream will be or what it'll be about. I kind of want to do a stream about Grimm at some point because that's another show that I like. It's kind of a guilty pleasure show, but it's one that I really enjoy, so we'll try to make that happen. I might do one for Penny Dreadful at some point. Although Penny Dreadful really went off the rails in the last episode this past Sunday. So season 2 is starting to frustrate me a little bit, but it's still a really great show. So I might do one for that at some point. No decisions made yet, but I will let you know. I'll put up a video or some kind of announcement about when the next stream will be. Also, just watch my Twitter for updates. Excuse me. And until then, we got still got the Impact videos coming up every week, so watch out for that, and I will see you then. Till then, good night. Later.